What is up, everyone? Hello, welcome back to another episode. Before you start learning, make sure you like and subscribe. It really helps me out. Hit that bell button. Isn't that what people do? And then they point. Yeah, all the cool people do that. Maybe one day I'll be a cool person too, and have like good lighting. But for now, it's just me. So I heard what you guys said. That might have gone a little bit too fast. Sorry, it's still really hard for me adjusting to you being not here with me. And I know maybe you were too shy to say I was going too fast or to tell me something or to go back. So don't be afraid to do that. But what I want to do is give you guys all these notes and things right here, right now. And that way you can pause it and take a look or listen again. And hopefully that will help you and make it easier for you to do. I hope, maybe. Anyway, so thanks for your feedback. We're just going to go over what we went over in class today. And so, like I said, in class, we started talking about ecology and human impact. We're going to begin by talking about these things. If you want to pause and write some things down or whatever you need to do, go right ahead and pause it. I'll still be here. So what are the things you need to know? We're going to talk today about biotic and abiotic factors. We're not going to talk today about some of these other things, but this is what we're going to talk about over the next couple days in class. So you can write these notes and think about them and have them as a reference for you as we do that. So we're going to talk about organizing and categorizing living things, so different terminology that we call when we group living things. We're going to talk about adaptations. What are they? What kinds of different adaptations exist? With creatures, we're going to talk about structural, reproductive, and behavioral adaptations and kind of get to understand what those are. We're going to talk about how can we infer things about an organism based on its adaptations. So let me give you an example of what I mean, and then we can try to apply that. So if I observe with my eyes someone outside the window and they're wearing a hat and a scarf and a coat and they're like bundled up or they're doing something like this, I can observe that and then I can infer it's cold outside. I'm not outside. I'm here in a t-shirt, but I can infer that it might be cold outside if I see someone wearing a winter coat. So an inference is an educated guess based on our observations. So what could we maybe infer about a living thing? So if I had like a cactus, it's got these large succulent leaves that hold a lot of water. I could assume maybe they live in an area where there's not a lot of water and they need to store it for the future. That's an inference. It kind of goes along with hypothesis, kind of like an educated guess, okay? But this is not really a guess. What is symbiosis? We're going to talk about that. And what are the different symbiotic relationships? We'll talk about those things as well. We're not going to get to them in this video. That just should excite you for future videos. That's why you need to like and subscribe and hit the bell button so you can be notified every time that I post a video about notes. So this is also something we went through in class, biotic and abiotic factors. We talked about the word bio, like in biology, meaning life. So biology is the study of life. So biotic is just something that means the living factors in an environment. And then we have abiotic, which is the opposite. Usually if you see a or an in front of a word, it means not. So those are non-living things. So take a minute, like we did in class, and try to look at some different things. There's some people over here in this park, and try to get some biotic and abiotic factors. Take a minute for yourself, pause the video, and try to think of some things. Did you actually pause the video? I bet you didn't. Maybe you did. So you could think biotic are the trees and the bushes and the grass. And you can't see it, but if there's fish in the lake, they're biotic. Or any bugs, these people back here, they're biotic. What are some abiotic things? This pathway, the water in the pond, the air, the temperature, the amount of water in the soil, all those weird things, the pH of the soil or the pH of the lake. Those are abiotic factors, non-living factors. So what we did in class, and if you did not finish or you weren't able to do that, you can pause this and use this as a reference, or look at the notes that I provided for you. I want you to make a Venn diagram. I wish we were in groups. And on one side, put the abiotic factors, the other side, the biotic factors, and the middle maybe some things that you could interpret as being either biotic or abiotic. So pause, take some time to do that now if you didn't finish, and turn it in. I just kind of want to point out some of those things, like a corpse, like a dead body. Well, that was living and is not currently. So, oh good, it paused. I don't have like a fancy editor to edit my YouTube videos, so somebody came to the door. So you'll get to totally enjoy that from time to time, that I have to pop in and out. And I don't have an editor to get rid of stuff like this. But yeah, so you might see some things that you're like, well, this could be maybe living or non-living, because a corpse it was a living body, so it's biotic, but it's not living anymore. So does that make it abiotic? A lot of times people will define biotic and abiotic as abiotic is non-living and never ever was. Like my can of Arizona 0-calorie green tea with ginseng. I wish they would sponsor me. But the can is made of metal. It was dug out from the earth. It does not come from anything alive. It never was alive. So that's truly abiotic. I don't particularly care for that definition, but you're not going to need to really know about that. When they talk about biotic and abiotic factors, it will be very clear that something is abiotic, because it would be something like the amount of rainfall, the pH of the soil, a rock, something that really, really, there's no question that it's abiotic. Okay, so I hope that clarifies it for you. I just wanted you to try some of these different things as sort of like a challenge to you and your thinking, and to make you sort of think about things. So we talked today about plants. I love plants. That's not a joke or sarcasm. I really love plants. We wouldn't be here without them, so they're great. Let's talk about what the types of plants there are. They live everywhere on Earth except for Antarctica. There are non-vascular plants like this moss, and the word vascular means having veins. So like, you might think like, I have veins. Sure, there they are. You can kind of see them. It's not exactly the same. Like your cardiovascular system is your heart and your arteries and veins. Plants aren't exactly like that, but we can use that same sort of terminology to think of it like that. So non-vascular plants don't have any veins inside them. They have no vascular system like that. They never get very big usually, so that's why moss is a good example. They don't have any little veins or tubes inside them to move water and food around. So they rely on this process called diffusion to move water through. And diffusion is a slow process, which means it takes a long time for the water to move through them, so they can't really get big. If they were bigger, they would die waiting for water, like the little bits of them that were higher up in the air. Vascular plants, though, that's pretty much every plant you would think of. So when you think of a plant, you're probably thinking of a vascular plant. They have those veins inside them. You've probably experienced vascular plants doing stuff. If you've ever had celery and you take a bite and that string comes off in your teeth and you're like, I hate life. Why did I even eat celery? I was trying to be healthy and now I'm miserable. That's some xylem, one of the veins that carries water through the celery. So you actually ate a plant vein. Lovely. It is lovely. So what are the types of vascular plants? There's several types, but we're just going to focus on these two, gymnosperms and angiosperms. Gymnosperm, these are the types of plants that make cones. So their seeds are found in cones. And I actually learned more about cones today thanks to my own students, so that makes me very happy. I like learning new things. And then there are angiosperms, and that's plants that make flowers. So if I had to guess, when you first thought of whatever plant, if you were trying to think of a plant or you picture one in your mind, I would guess you think of an angiosperm. So they make flowers. That's where like a lot of your fruit and vegetables come from, is from flowering plants. So what about these plant veins? By the way, feel free to use this picture. That's not the picture of me, the picture of the plant, that one right there, right there. Feel free to use that in your notes to help you with the assignment that I gave you today. It's got everything labeled, and you're going to label a picture of a plant. And if you're not in my class and watching this, I'm not sure how you found it, but you can always label a picture of a plant and send it to me. So let's talk about the veins that you would find in a plant. There are two main veins that we're going to talk about, and that is xylem and phloem. I love the word xylem. Why? There's not a whole lot of words that start with an X like that, and it's just fun to say xylem. So xylem is a vein that carries water, and the water moves up. Why? Let's think about how a plant works. Here are the roots. This is where the water is that you find. So the water is in the soil. The root hairs soak up. Their cells are designed to soak up the water. The water then enters into the xylem, and through this stuff called capillary action, it's going to get pulled up the xylem to where the rest of the plant needs it. The leaves, the stem, the flowers. Okay, so xylem carries water up the plant from the root to the leaf. And phloem carries food. I always like to think of it like the pH sounds like F. Phloem carries food, so it helps me remember that. And the food that plants make is, it's right there, sugar. So photosynthesis happens. The plant uses sunlight, water, and oxygen to create sugar, and then also releases, did I say oxygen? Wish I had an editor. Let's correct ourselves. The plant takes sunlight, water, and CO2, carbon dioxide, and turns that into sugar. Sorry, I made a mistake. If I was like a professional YouTuber, I would have edited that part out, but here we are. So they're going to take sunlight, water, CO2, and make sugar. That process happens in the leaves. That's like, different parts of our body do different things, like our heart beats and pumps blood. Our brain sends chemical and electrical signals to do different things. Our muscles will tense and squeeze to move us. So our body parts do different things, so do plants. A leaf is part of their body, and that body part is designed to do photosynthesis. Okay, so photosynthesis happens here, food is made, and that food travels from here and goes into a phloem tube and goes down. Okay, so it carries food down from the leaves through to the stem and to the roots, because the roots need food too. So phloem goes down. In fact, that's how you get real maple syrup. So they'll take, I know this isn't a tree, but they'll take the maple tree and they'll add a little spigot. They'll drill in and add a spigot. It'll be puncturing into one of the phloem, and then the sap, which is like the food that comes from the phloem, can come out of the little spigot and into a bucket. If you are curious, you're on the computer right now, you could look up a YouTube video about how maple syrup is made or anything like that, real maple syrup, and you'll see. So those are the vascular system of a plant. And then we're kind of also talking about adaptations. And a lot of people, like I said, think plants are very boring, or they don't move or do anything. What kind of adaptations can they have? They can't make noise. They don't have a brain. Boring. Wrong. Wrong. Plants are so exciting. They have lots of adaptations. For example, they could have a waxy cuticle. It's kind of like a skin layer you can think of. So it's thick and like waxy, which means water can't escape from it. Think of like if you spilled candle wax on you, or you had wax paper, the water just sort of beads up and comes off. So that keeps water in. And they might have thick, succulent leaves to store and trap water. And we can infer that's for desert life, because they need to store water because there's not a lot of water. They produce pollen, so they can live on land, and they don't need any water to reproduce. It can travel through the air or on the bodies of insects and animals and birds. They make these beautiful flowers that have like crazy colors and designs. Some colors you can only see in ultraviolet because they're designed not for our eyes, but for bees' eyes. They make these beautiful smells. We like a lot of them. Some of them smell terrible, but they're to attract certain pollinators. They have seeds that can travel on the wind. Or did you ever see like a deserted island? And there's always like that one palm tree with the guy trying to write SOS or whatever. Well, that's because coconuts float in the water. That's why you see them on deserted islands, because the coconut can float there and then it'll produce a new palm tree with new coconuts. So why don't you try to think of some things that you've noticed on plants that you could consider to be an adaptation? So yeah, think about it. I mean, that's what we're here for. So I hope that kind of helped clear up some of the things we talked about in class. I hope that kind of is a good introduction to you to plants. I hope that it helps to have this, that you can pause and go back and hear what I have to say. Even though I can't edit myself in class either, so you're stuck with me. But let me know, reach out to me if this helps. I think it will. And I will see you soon. All right, bye.